Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tower of Babble, episode 14, I believe. I am Julian. I'm joined by Jeremy, once again, over Skype on his iPad. So if there's, again, technical issues, you know where that's coming from. It's not my end, and there's nothing we can really do about it at this point. Dan can't join us today. He's chauffeuring around nieces. So, whatever. He's got his priorities. Other than that, there's actually more news than I thought there was going to be. Again, like once I start going through the week stuff, it seems to hit me just how much stuff that we actually have to talk about every week. So we'll just jump right into it really quick here. So we'll start with Star Wars stuff. Rachel. So there's some rumors about casting. Rachel Hurd-Wood. Have you heard of her before? I've never heard of her.
Nope.
Is rumored to be being cast as Princess Leia, and there's an Alex Pettyfer, also up for a role, but he looks a lot like a Skywalker, so they don't say what it is, but you would guess maybe either a son. Sorry, what was that, Jeremy?
How old is the girl?
The girl, she is. Let's find out exactly. She's not very old. He said, okay, let's see.
Would she be the age that Princess Leia would be after?
You would think because the girl who played Leia's like a lot out of shape now and also a lot older. Hey,
But depending on her age, that means the movies would take place right after Return of the Jedi, or like
possibly, yeah. But then you also have the other people coming back. That doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna have like Luke and Han coming back to take up their recast their roles, it doesn't make sense.
If they casted her, that's official. Then they need the other two.
Well, they haven't casted her yet. It's just a rumor. Rachel Hurd-Wood, let's see here. It didn't say in the article, but she is born in 1990, so she is 22. So yeah, like that seems like about the right age for Princess Leia after Return of the Jedi. So, I mean, recasting only makes sense because the original. Yeah, because the other ones might be coming back. We know that they're being talked to. If they're all recast, I'd be very surprised. If some of them are recast, I wouldn't be that surprised.
Or they could do a type of flashback type of thing.
Yeah. Well, who originally played Leia, Princess Leia?
I forget her name. But
What is that tapping?
I don't know.
That...
Tapping my iPad.
Try not to tap it nonstop. Carrie Fisher is the one who played her.
Right.
And yeah, so she's not in the best shape these days.
We know this. She's like, what's she, 70 years old or older?
1956, so I don't know how old that makes her. 70 something. And then she's like, that's pretty much, those three movies are pretty much all she's ever really done. She's done stuff for Family Guy. I'm looking at her IMDb right now. She's not really had a big career after Star Wars. But other than that,
aside from his voice acting.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Harrison Ford's the biggest one.
Well, Harrison Ford. Well, yeah, he's had his old. He's huge. I mean, he's kind of grumpy now in his old age, but
he's not grumpy.
I feel like he just comes off with a grumpy vibe to me.
I don't feel that at all.
No? Okay.
That's more Bruce Willis.
Well, especially very much Bruce Willis, but like I feel like I get this similar vibe. But that's maybe I'm just completely off base here.
That's just you.
Okay, all right. So Bradley Cooper is officially been confirmed as Rocket Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy. So we talked about this last week. What you thought. So you're still on board?
Yeah, that's fine by me.
I don't know. I just can't imagine his voice.
Well, I guess remember you've seen the A-Team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And cool, witty in that movie. I could just picture the same way for the raccoon.
The raccoon, the coon.
But I would say I like Bradley Cooper a lot, so I'd actually rather see him in a bigger role. Not to say Rocket Raccoon isn't, but like an actual acting role.
I feel like because he's only doing voice acting, it doesn't preclude him from doing a live action role in the same universe.
But now he has ties with Marvel, so. I'd actually like to see him be like the Flash, maybe, or something like that in the DC universe.
I feel like there's like you have. Well, I guess it's tough because they probably do different types of deals now, but you have stuff like the new Batman who used to play a Marvel character. So it's like,
Yeah, but that was like a write-off Marvel type thing, right?
yeah, no, it was through Fox. It wasn't through the Marvel Studios like it is
Right.
now. So it's different.
Nowadays, it's just it's more surrounded on working between both companies. So
Yeah, it's like ironclad contracts. It's like
yeah.
if you did that, you would. It's tough. Like as an actor, it's like you have to pick one side. You're obviously gonna go the one that's most successful right now. So
Yeah, I could also see him as Quicksilver too.
DiPietro. What else we got for news here? Zack Snyder explained the huge death toll in Man of Steel. So, quote, in ancient mythology, mass deaths are used to symbolize disasters. In other countries like Greece and Japan, myths were recounted through generations, partly to answer unanswerable questions about death and violence. In America, we don't have that legacy of ancient mythology. Superman is probably the closest we get. It's a way of recounting the myth. So I guess that's an odd way of explaining that whole.
Very odd. I feel
right?
like he just pulled that out of his ass.
I don't to some degree because how do you come up with that like on the spot? Like some reporter comes up to you.
But I'm sure he heard of the flack on the internet. Everyone talking about all the deaths, and then he's like, "Okay, how am I going to explain this?" I don't really think he thought about it in that way before he shot it.
You think like when he was going through the visual effects stuff.
He wanted a big, epic, spectacular fight, and with that comes crumbling buildings. That's it.
But how do you not think about that? There's literally millions of people in a downtown.
Well, I guess he did think about that, and that's his answer, and that's a pretty dumb answer. It's kind of cool, but not many. I don't think people will accept that answer.
No, I don't. It's not, and I don't think it really matters at this point anyway, because I think the next movie is going to address that issue like head on anyway. Yeah, so I don't think.
When I was watching, it was more so a suspension of belief or whatever. Like you kind of just ignore what's happening.
Yeah.
In the background, you just focus on the fight. You don't really think about people dying that you don't see.
No, I get that. And I get that to a certain degree because I remember watching the fight, not really thinking about it till after. Certain parts of that fight, if you think about it now, were kind of didn't look as great as the others. But I mean, that's what, if anything, that's what took me out of it, not people like running away. You know what I mean?
Right. And then like in the cartoons we've had over the get in the way, they'd always show them landing safely or landing in water or whatever.
Yeah.
But
you can't do that in real live action. It's cheesy.
Yeah. You don't always want to show what happens to those people.
Yeah. I mean, I get the certain degree that some people obviously died, but you'd assume that. I get people had the.
Well, people are mad because Superman, that's his power, is to save everyone, right? Like.
Yeah, and he wasn't saving anyone. He was just fighting this guy.
Yeah. But they need to realize that this is the beginning of Superman. This is where, he's learning himself, and so maybe he won't let that happen again.
I think that's a good interpretation. Like that makes sense to me. Like if you're gonna show that much destruction and death, you're only gonna show him grow and what it caused and how it hurt him. He's gonna learn. Yeah.
Just like Batman wasn't in Batman.
Yeah. Oh, such a good series though.
And on a side note, we remember how we discussed that Christian Bale was offered money to reprise the role.
Yeah.
So we didn't really talk about that.
Sorry, I didn't. Start over there.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you
now. In that whole new universe, whatever. Like incorporate it, the 3 Dark Knight movies.
I don't think. Well, they can't now.
Well, they can't now, but like that was their plan to when they wanted Christian Bale back.
Well, I think the idea was it's like instant 6 movies or 4 movies instead of 1.
The thing is, it doesn't matter who's acting as Batman. The story was going to be the story. You know what I mean? It was going to be the sequel to Man of Steel. Therefore, those movies, if Christian Bale was in the new sequel,
it would have just felt odd, didn't it?
It would have felt odd, but those would have been in the same universe.
Yes, so that's what they when looking at it, if you're going to offer Christian Bale that money, you're going to say we're going to do it because it automatically establishes our universe with more than one movie. You could say there's already all this stuff that's happened.
And that
yeah. Speaking of Batman versus Superman, it's supposed to start shooting first quarter of 2014 in Michigan. So Detroit gave them huge tax incentives. We all know that Detroit's broke right now, like filed for bankruptcy. So they offered them huge tax incentives, because I remember when it's like the Batman Superman news was first coming, a lot of the news was that it was going to shoot in Toronto, where Man of Steel was shot. Which is fine that it's shooting in Michigan. I mean, good for Detroit. They need the money.
Where was Dark Knight? That was in like Philadelphia or like Pittsburgh or something?
I want to say Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh was Dark Knight Returns or Dark Knight Rises, and it was Chicago for Dark Knight.
Because the football team.
Yeah, and Dark Knight was Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they have those bridges or whatever.
Gotham-looking type cities.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you can make really any city look like anything. I mean, they use LA to stand in for New York, and New York to stand in for LA all the time. Yeah. So I mean, it's one big city kind of looks like the next.
And even Metropolis, right. I'm sure they computerized the buildings to look, bigger and.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you added more, or you added how the water was around there, because like if you think about it. Gotham and Metropolis look essentially the same. Like they're like where their layouts on an island. It's like they're just both New York. It's like New York at night, New York during the day. It's like the only difference. But it's hard to realize that in film, because it's like that was kind of like it was more of a metaphor type of thing. And in the comics, was these are such opposite cities, but with like similar heroes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, shooting soon, which is I'm excited for. Like as soon as it starts shooting, we're gonna get like set
they
photos.
Say that, like they say they haven't even written it yet, so like, they're just working on it every day.
I'm assuming if you're working for Warner Brothers, your only job right now probably they don't have that many franchises right now. Your only job is to do that.
Yeah, but it's Snyder and Goyer coming up with the script, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, so what else do they have to do?
I know. I'm just saying.
I don't know I would if I was a VP or like a president at Warner Brothers, I'd be giving them money, saying like, I don't care what you do, you're sitting in this room every day until this is written, and we can start working on pre-production.
That's Goyer's contract right now. He's writing that. But if I was the VP, I would get Ben Affleck's 2 cents, and even Kevin Smith. I'd get Kevin Smith in there too.
I think they're soured on Kevin Smith to some degree, because I think they asked. Remember they had him write that Superman movie that was never made. Remember that?
Right. He was going to direct it too.
Yeah, he was going to direct it.
They're not sour on him though. I don't think.
But I think when it comes to like that kind of stuff, I think that he's made his voice so loud in other media, like on his podcast and stuff, that to go to ask to him I think they almost have like too much pride to do that.
I know, but I can see that Ben, Kevin Smith, and Goyer and Snyder just kind of like coming up with like the greatest story they can tell, and I think it would work. And Kevin Smith is kind of the Josh Whedon
of the yeah.
Like not so much as great as a filmmaker or whatever.
No, obviously not.
His knowledge and passion for DC Comics
it's almost unmatched. Like he loves that stuff, you know.
Yeah. So that'd be cool if they got his helping hand.
What also I wouldn't be surprised is if Affleck went to Kevin Smith and like for advice on how to play the role. Because I mean, if
they're good friends, right?
Yeah. So I mean, like he comes to him, and I know because how much Kevin Smith loves the animated series, I'm sure he's going to tell him to draw on that a lot. And I mean, if that's the case, like that's just going to make a better Batman.
Well, I listened to one of his podcasts, the Babble one. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I've listened to that. Yeah, it was
like him and that guy Ralph Garman.
Yeah, I listened to the last one where he talked about Ben Affleck.
Yeah, they talked about it. And he said a bunch of things, how Ben thought when he was playing Daredevil, how he wanted to play Batman back in the day, how he thought it would never happen.
Yeah, and he said like, well, why don't I just take this role? It's essentially Marvel's Batman.
Yeah, and it's he loves the Dark Knight Returns. Like that's why he did Daredevil, because Frank Miller wrote both of those at one point.
Yeah,
like both Batman and Daredevil.
And I think exactly. It's like, well, this is essentially Batman's or the DC Batman. And in fact, they even make fun of it recently in the comics. So they were saying he's someone in one of the panels that said, "Hey, it's Red Batman." Yeah, which is like it would become a meme, which I think is actually really funny that they would do that.
The story of that Ben Affleck's new house, he built like a Batcave entrance or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was great. He built.
He was like, "This is you built a Batcave," and then Ben Affleck was like, "No, I built a Batcave entrance."
So yeah, it's just a sliding bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have a sliding bookshelf in my house when I promise you. It's like, what's behind that bookshelf? I'll be like, that's nothing back there. That's just it's just a wall.
Yeah, you have like a panic room or something back
Yeah,
there.
and then you have to have the book that opens it, and then it has to creak.
Yeah.
You open it, and you never. I think that's what is that, a Dane Cook joke? You never WD-40 that creak. You just leave it. Okay, so what else do we have here? Batman versus Cranston. Okay, so Bryan Cranston dismissed the rumors of him playing Lex Luthor, but if you read it, he doesn't necessarily say he isn't doing it. So, sorry, say that again.
That last great quote he says.
Yeah,
Something like
relaxing in his house.
Well, yeah, but after that he says it's not like set in stone or like it's not, I don't know. It was kind of weird. It was open to maybe it's still in the works or something like that.
I think to me, how I interpret it is because the first thing he says, according to at least one I've read, is that he addresses the multiple picture deal thing first, saying like
he laughs, so
it's like it's like, well, he laughs at that. He didn't necessarily say he hasn't signed on for one. You know what I mean? I mean, 6 is a lot of movies, so by not confirming 6, which is probably was a kind of a drastic rumor. I mean, that's a lot. Saying that that's not true doesn't necessarily mean he won't do the rest. And I think, and he does say the same thing. He just says like, well, anyone could just be like shave their head bald. You know what I mean? But not everyone looks good bald.
But that whole interview or whatever like counteracts what he said before. How he said, "Give me a call. I'd love to play him," or whatever.
No, he said he thinks he says Lex Luthor's an interesting character. Give me a call, or something like that. So I mean, he's probably been talked to. Chances are, if he has been, he can't talk about it, even if he has. So it doesn't really matter.
Well, yeah, it also depends on their vision and what they want for Lex Luthor. And if
maybe you want someone a little bit younger, so you can have a more physical.
Like I was originally hoping for someone younger to kind of go along with Ben and Henry Cavill or whatever, and kind of the same age group. But I'm interested in seeing Cranston as Lex Luthor.
Have you seen that fan trailer that guy made with Cranston?
Yeah, with a bunch of clips from Daredevil, Superman, and stuff.
Daredevil. He has Superman. He has clips from what was that Bryan Cranston movie that he was in? Where he was a politician. It was like that. It was that remake of that movie with remake of that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
What one?
What?
Which one?
Okay, yeah.
No, which movie? I don't know.
Total Recall.
Oh, right. So
there's that part, like that whole opening dialogue scene in this fan trailer, which is great. You should go look it up. I don't even know what it's called. I think it's just called Man of Steel 2 teaser trailer.
YouTube.
Yeah, and anyways, it's really good, and then it has this whole dialogue about it not trusting him, and then then
they had Ben Affleck's dialogue from Daredevil, which kind of spoke like Batman.
Yeah, no, it's good.
About justice. And
they talk about, and they say something about Wayne Industries, and it shows Ben Affleck in a suit, and then it cuts to something else, and it's like
to me, I don't really care too much for these things because I can already envision this stuff.
Yeah, well, not everyone has that visual sense that you do.
Yeah, someone who has a hard time kind of picturing it, like this will help out.
It just made me excited because they used music from like some of the really good music from Man of Steel, and it's like I was like, oh, I just want this movie to exist now. I want to watch it now. And I would love to. Yeah, I agree with you completely with Cranston, Bryan Cranston as Lex Luthor. I think he would make it great.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's just too good right now. I mean, we can pretty much agree he's going to win an Emmy for this role.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean, from everything I've heard, it's insane.
Yeah.
So Transformers 4 has a title, Age of Extinction. So it's
Age of Ultron.
might as well call it that. It's the age of ofs right now in movie titles. So probably pretty much confirms Dinobots, but we already kind of knew that. It's been rumored for a long time. Which is interesting to me is that
producer said something about it, and then this.
Sorry.
One of the producers said something about Dinobots.
Oh, okay.
And this title pretty much solidifies that.
Yeah, and then it's supposed to be a reboot kind of, but it's Transformers 4, so it's not a complete reboot.
I think
so.
yeah, they say it takes place like 10 years after or something like that.
Okay, well that's kind of cool. I mean, that's fine. New characters. I mean, it's not a Transformers movie for me unless there's a Shia LaBeouf in it. But I mean, I guess I'll have to live without that. There'll still be supermodels pretending to be actresses,
And Mark Wahlberg's pretty funny as of late.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Like Pain and Gain was really funny. Even though it was a dark comedy, but it was really.
But you got to picture Shia LaBeouf just kicking.
I just laugh so hard when I see that scene. Oh, okay. No, he's really funny. Like people they hate on him. I'm not sure really why. He's actually really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I really loved back growing up. I watched Even Stevens, so whatever. But I mean, he's taking on. He's trying to go a little more serious. I think is he in that that Nymphomaniac movie? Is he in that controversial? Have you heard of that?
I think
it's with live sex in it and stuff.
Yeah.
Is he? Yeah, that's weird. I don't know if I want to see a movie like that. You know what I mean? But especially, I don't want to watch. Especially with Shia LaBeouf, who I think is hilarious. I don't want to ruin that by just imagining his wang all the time. But anyway, let's move on from Nymphomaniac. That's a whole weird thing. So Jason David Frank, who played the Green Ranger on the original Power Rangers, has been pitching a Green Ranger PG-13 solo movie.
Well, of course he has.
What else is he doing?
Not gonna happen.
No, probably not. Well, maybe. I mean, with the success of Pacific Rim, especially overseas, a giant robot movie featuring a Power Ranger, and everyone knows what a Power Ranger is not that tough of a sell. I mean, if I was a studio exec and I wanted my own piece of Pacific Rim, that's a way of doing it, I think.
Right. But it's still a harder concept to grasp, I think.
Really? Power Rangers? Everyone knows what a Power Ranger is.
Well, Pacific Rim is basically a Godzilla movie.
Pacific Rim is a Power Ranger movie. It's that.
Yeah, no, I think it's more of a Godzilla movie.
Well, I mean, you look at Power Rangers, they're essentially giant robots fighting giant monsters. That's what they are. So, I mean...
How do you explain these giant monsters and aliens and whatnot, right?
Well, I guess you don't do it like giant clay clay that they use magic on. You have to do some sort of reworking. There's no villains in the moon.
It's also a kid's show, though, so they don't really need to do reworking.
Well,
right?
no, but if you were going to put the Green Ranger, which you haven't seen since we were kids... No kids today are going to know who that is. No. It would be to us that they'd be marketing it to.
The more I think about it, it's just not going to happen.
Well, there's no way. I agree with you.
It'd be like a DVD or like a 1 hour special or something.
Yeah, I would see it. No, I don't know. I don't think I want to see the original Power Rangers come back, to be honest with you. It just doesn't appeal to me.
I think one of them is dead, actually.
Really? I remember hearing about that.
The Yellow Ranger, I think she died in a car accident a long time ago.
That's a shame.
But all that really matters is the Red Ranger and...
The Green Ranger?
Yeah.
/ White Ranger?
Yep.
So Joss Whedon, speaking to... I'm not sure, I can't actually remember. About killing an Avenger, was asked about would he ever kill one. And essentially said, well, quote, maybe, but I'd have to have a really good reason. A really great sequence for Marvel executives to go for. Well, quote, we'll cut off a potential series. That's fine. They know, as any good studio does, that without some stakes, some real danger, how involved we can get. We can't just rule it out across the board, but neither is this mission statement, who can we kill? Yeah. We try to build the story organically. How hard can we make it on these people? I mean, we all know that no one is going to die in any of these movies. I mean, I think we can all agree.
Well, just hearing you say that, it's true, too, because the studios don't want their characters killed because they can spawn off into different movies and series.
It's exactly, that's the worst.
And it's already happened once with Agent Coulson, and he's back.
They literally couldn't do one movie without him coming back.
For that show.
They went one. I did Iron Man, and they didn't address his death, and now he's back in a show before any other movies. Before, I guess Thor will be out before Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes out, but that's only 2 movies that were already in pre-development way before.
Yeah, and the thing is, they have these movies planned for so long that I'm sure minor characters are going to die.
I mean, what's a minor character? Hawkeye? Is he considered a minor character?
I don't know. I could see them introducing Wasp and then having her die in the same movie.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
In an Ant-Man movie?
Not in the Ant-Man movie. Probably Avengers movie. I don't know.
Janet Van Dyne's got to be in Ant-Man, right? You'd assume so. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. I would assume so. I'd want to see that.
Well, apparently, one of the original drafts of Avengers had the Wasp in it.
Yeah.
And there's actually like some storyboards and stuff done.
Yeah, and even in that draft, it was a minor part, right? So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. If you had to pick, that's just hypothetical. Any of the Avengers on the team now, who would you kill? Who could you kill and justify it?
I'd probably get rid of Hawkeye.
But why? Because you think because his part was so small in the last one? Well, not that it was small.
No, it's small. I don't know.
So,
I mean, I like Jeremy Renner, but I mean, you can't kill Iron Man. You can't kill Captain America. Not like Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk are the main ones, right?
yeah.
They're not going to die.
But let's say they've had Hulk around since for years now. They made 2 solo movies that did not that well. So you have him on a team. You're not doing anything with him for a while.
No, Hulk will never die off.
So you can't kill the Hulk, which is fine. You can't kill the Hulk anyway because you can't shoot him in the face.
Anyone else? The only people who can die is Black Widow and Hawkeye.
And then you just assume that if they die, they're just probably a fake death again because they're
no.
shield
I
agents.
don't think they can do another fake death.
You think?
I think that if characters were to die, it'd be at the kind of the end run of this whole Marvel universe. But I don't even know if they want this thing to.
It has to end at some point. I mean,
yeah,
these characters are going to age.
Yeah, but like you said, they have movies planned till what, 2020 or something like that?
Well, they said, they had movies planned from 2022 or something like that, and they said that...
And I guess that would go in line with a 6 Avenger movie type time frame.
If you had an Avengers movie every, third year?
2 years.
Every second year?
I would say, yeah.
Is that what we're doing now? We had Avengers last year, nothing this year, and Avengers next year?
Is it 2 years from now?
I think
Yeah, whatever. Give or take 3 years.
Well, no, when's Jedi? When's Star Wars?
It's probably 2015 Avengers is coming out.
Okay, yeah, 2015 is Avengers 2 then I think as well.
So yeah, basically 3 years. Yeah, I'm just saying at the end of that 6 movie run, not every character is going to survive.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, at some point an actor's going to want to get out of his deal
or something. There'll be close calls in terms of storylines, but like Joss Whedon, he likes death. Like the death in Avengers 1 was a huge,
catalyst,
point.
Yeah. I mean, it's consistent through all his work. Someone usually dies in his stuff.
Yeah, people were already thinking it was going to happen too.
Well, it's because it's impossible not to. It's like without like he says in this quote, it's like without stakes, without there being something to care about, without you worrying about them dying, like why do you care? And especially when you start thinking about it from like the studio perspective, it's like you really start to stop caring because it's like, well, there's no way. I mean, even though they have Robert Downey Jr. signed for Avengers and Avengers 3, Avengers 2 and 3, they don't have him for another solo movie. So can you kill Iron Man in Avengers 3? Maybe that's why not? So you're gonna recast?
You don't kill the main 4. It's just not.
But like, what do you do? Do you send him off into space?
If Robert Downey Jr. does not want to play it again, they recast.
Okay.
Absolutely, and they go in a different direction. One maybe people don't think, and it'll probably work out.
Do you do it? Do you wait a bit, or do you recast right away?
Well, once the movie's done, there's already a 2 to 3 year wait period, right? So
that's true.
And like, do you remember when Robert Downey Jr. was announced as Iron Man? We're like, what the heck?
Vaguely.
I remember me and Dan were just like, this sucks.
Well, I remember when Iron Man came out, it was just such a surprise hit. Like, I didn't know much about Iron Man at the time. Like, I didn't really care. I'm like, this is cool. I mean, the trailer had some AC/DC in it, and I thought that was cool. Right. So I was like, I'll go watch this movie. And then we go watch it, and then you wait till the end of the credits, and there's a Nick Fury scene, and you're like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And look where we are today.
And not very many people remember, though, but before that movie, Iron Man wasn't as popular.
No, he was minor character. He was a C-level character. No.
I think he was.
Sorry, what was that?
I would say he was as popular. He wasn't as popular as Spider-Man and Wolverine or X-Men.
No, absolutely not.
But he was among the talk with Captain America and Thor and whatnot.
So you say it was like top tier Spider-Man, Wolverine, X-Men.
He's like fan favorite.
Yeah, but he was probably higher than like Iron
Yeah,
Fist.
so I'm saying wasn't C character. He was
B.
A or B. Like
No, he's B. I'd say give him B, and then
give him
the
B,
movie
sure.
shot him up to an A level, like A plus. Like
Yeah.
everyone think. I mean, there's been some good comic stuff with him in the past few years, but nothing. Like they've really concentrated on him, and you can really see the influence of the movies, especially in the comic book story arcs. Like you have the Infinity event
Yeah,
in DC
no,
right now.
Marvel's really, even their cartoon shows and the comic runs.
No, and what was
But
it? DC has the closest they came was releasing Superman Unchained the same day as the movie.
Well, that's just proper marketing. You know what I mean? They actually wanted to call it Man of Steel, and they decided to change it to Unchained. Because I actually watched an interview with Dan DiDio, like one of the chief publishers or whatever, and he says, "What's the point of us? The movie industry's doing that. That's not how it started. That's not how we're going to do it." So his goal is to be the driving force of the creativity, and he wants the movies to take away from the comics and not the other way around. So I thought that was a cool.
No, that makes sense. It's like taking what's the common fad and like what's popular now and flipping it on its head and say no. This is how it was. I mean, at the same time, a lot of people would say like if you're gonna think that way, that's very backwards. But I think in this case, I think it's not.
It's not in terms of changing characters or developing them differently. It's of just going with your vision of the character
and not allowing outside forces to change how you're going to do stuff.
Like everything, right? Yeah. So I'm happy they're doing that. I think that's the right thing to do, because then you'll just have but it's kind of cool having all these IPs kind of all be very similar, like in the Marvel way with the comics.
It helps to sell it. It's like if you liked Avengers, you're gonna like Avengers Assemble, the cartoon show. If you like Avengers Assemble, there's a comic book called Avengers Assemble, and it's very much like the cartoon. So like all those, like they all tie together. You can see a path.
So that's one way to do it, but in that way, the movie part of that is the driving force behind it.
But and that makes it hard because the movie only comes out. You only have 2 or 3 movies a year, so how do you base a year's or 2 years worth of comic stories, which you need to plan in advance, around these stories? I don't know. They're both 2 different philosophies, and it's nice to see that.
And they're different mediums too, right? Where we have these comic book writers who are just amazing at what they do, and I want to see them do what they want to do and see their visions, right? So,
some people, I'd like to see some people get reined in a little. Who's writing? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Who's ever writing Avengers right now is getting a little out of hand.
Yeah, no, I was more so talking about DC. Like they really have a handle on their writers, and
there's a lot of, you can see there's a lot of editorial, like there's a hand of editorial in there, but it's not so much that it gets overwhelming. It's like where every comic book ties into another, where you have a million editorial notes saying see this in here and see this in there, which drives me nuts.
The openness for creativity is huge over at DC right now because they're basically telling their writers do whatever you want. You know what I mean?
To some degree.
Yeah, well, I think more so than ever before.
Really?
Right now in the Marvel side, Thanos is coming back in the movies. Get him into the comic books.
It's true. I mean,
it's so yeah.
I would like to see a little bit more cohesion from DC. I understand that philosophy, but at the same time,
cohesion in terms of what, the movies and the comics?
Yeah, to some degrry, a little bit. Even if it's just one, even if it's just one series, if you have something that
we have that right now with Superman Unchained. That's the furthest they're going to go right now. That's their philosophy. We just talked about it, what they're doing.
Well, I mean, but even that's like not that. It's not really that ties. It doesn't really tie in that well with what's going on in what they did there. I guess what I like the most.
They're 2 different mediums, and they shouldn't tie together.
What I like is the best example for me with how they're doing it in DC is they have 2 digital series that they have. They have Injustice, which is really good, and that ties in with the games, and they have Arkham, the Arkham series that they have. I don't know if it's still going on now, but I'm sure it'll restart if it's not when the game gets closer. Those tie into those universes, and if you like those games, you know exactly where you can go to find more content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is helpful, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving on here a little bit, there's a quick note on Bond 24. So Daniel Craig came out and said, quote, hopefully we'll reclaim some of the old irony and make sure it doesn't become pastiche. Which, to be honest,
Didn't we talk about this last time?
I don't think, did we? I don't think so.
Yes, yeah, we did.
Oh, did we? Oh, all right. Well, I'll just delete
At
that.
the very end, you looked it up and we talked about it.
Pastiche.
I don't know, whatever Daniel Craig said.
All right. Do we talk about a possible Spawn reboot?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go. Would you like to see a Spawn reboot? I don't know if I would. I don't know if I care. Okay, so I've seen Kick-Ass 2 finally. 2 weeks it's been out.
Why would you go see that?
Why?
Yeah.
I want to be able to talk about it. I think it's a comic book movie. It's a rated R comic book movie. Gives me insight into how something like that could ever happen again. I don't know. The chances of seeing another rated R comic book movie are low. I think slim. Maybe if DC does a Punisher movie, they would do it rated R. Maybe. I mean, but they've done Punisher already, and I mean, it wasn't that successful. So at this point, okay, so Kick-Ass 2, it was fun. There were some parts of it. The action was a lot of fun. Some of it was a little over the top, which is odd considering this is supposed to be these are supposed to be superheroes set in the real world.
Was it more focused on Hit Girl?
No, I mean she essentially took a back seat for half the movie where she wasn't Hit Girl at all, and was like essentially Mean Girls the movie for like a section of it.
Was she like mourning the death of her dad or whatever? Or like...
Well, no. Okay, so like she's living with some guy, like one of her dad's friends from the police force, and he's taking care of her, and he doesn't want her to be Hit Girl because I don't. It's a whole long story, but anyways, yeah, like he wasn't doing justice to the force and all that kind of stuff. So he doesn't want her to be that person. So she goes out and she kicks some bum's ass and like whatever, and then like cuts off his hand, and then he finds out that she's Hit Girl still. Sorry?
You don't give me a rundown of everything.
Okay. Anyway,
I only asked because the trailers
concentrate on her. But anyway, so she ends up giving up being Hit Girl and promising never to do it again. And then this whole middle section of the movie is like essentially just Mean Girls. Like she like makes friends with like these like the popular, quote unquote popular girls, and then like they talk about boys or whatever, and then they
that's pretty weird.
What?
That's pretty weird.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's parts of it that is funny, but a lot of it's not. And it's one part there's a diarrhea joke, and it's just gross. To be honest with you, it's just gross.
So verdict?
Verdict is, I mean, like a score. Do you want me to give you a score? Like out of 10?
Or like pass, watch it.
No, don't watch it. It's not worth it. Okay, if you really liked the first movie, go watch it. There's stuff there that you'll enjoy. If the first one didn't, was like, you're like, it was okay. I mean, it's not in my top 10, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, then don't even bother, because the first one's much better. This one has some cool stuff in it, but it just gets confused with its own, with what it actually is. Sometimes they talk about like, this isn't a movie. They say that like in the movie. They say this isn't a movie, but then they do stuff that like only would happen in a movie.
You leave it up for a sequel?
Yeah, yes, they did. But the chances of that happening are rare. I mean, Kick-Ass 2 is only written by Frank, or what's his name?
The writer of the comics.
Yeah, what's his name? He wrote. God, why am I blanking on directors and writers' names today? It's anyway.
Mark Miller.
I wanted to say Frank Miller, but I knew that was wrong. So I was like, yeah. So Mark Miller, who only wrote Kick-Ass 2 after the success of the first movie. So this one didn't do that well. I mean, it did really bad. But
neither did the first one.
He didn't? He didn't? I'm pretty sure he did.
No, what? No, he wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he didn't write the movie.
The first movie didn't make that much money.
No, it didn't. But it was like enough of a cult hit that he wrote, and he wrote Kick-Ass 2, like an actual comic book of it.
Right.
And then they adapted the comic book for the movie. But there is no Kick-Ass 3 comic book. So what do you just continue the series? I mean, it didn't do that well.
I think he'll write the comic book for sure.
You think? I don't know.
Yeah, he said maybe there is a definite end to Kick-Ass, and so
okay,
that would be 3.
All right, fair enough. Speaking of Mark Miller, I downloaded the whole run of American Jesus, which is supposed to be really, really, really good. I haven't started reading it yet. There's actually, in one of the shots in Kick-Ass 2, you can see in like the bedroom, like there's a poster of the cover of American Jesus on his wall, which I thought is kind of like a little, is a nice little nod to fans there. So yeah, don't go see it. It's not worth it. But I like the action. Some of the action was cool. I'll admit that. I mean, it was brutal. It was, to me, it's interesting to see them not do those quick cuts that you see in every movie now. It's like
You see the bone breaks and the blood squirt out.
exactly, you see those parts. You see when the hand gets cut off. You see the hand get cut off, and it's fresh. I mean, it's kind of gross to say that, but it's kind of it's fresh to see them not cut away and actually see the results.
Superhero movies where superheroes actually do that kind of thing, like those things that violently.
Yeah, I mean,
Like Punisher, Batman to a certain degree.
but to a less degree because it's still a PG movie, right? So
no, I mean the superhero in general.
yeah, and then you have a movie like Wolverine and
X2,
and X2 especially where you saw a little bit more of that, but it's still, I mean that X2 had blood on his claws, right?
X2 was pretty violent, but there was just no blood.
There's no blood on his claws.
Yeah, like he stabbed guys in the chest.
Okay, there's only one stab in the Wolverine.
But I thought there's lots of bloody claws and stuff.
Not
like
a
that.
lot, just a little. I was a little disappointed. I would expect that the director's cut on DVD will be a lot bloodier, in my opinion. Is like guaranteed. Unrated version.
Yeah, uncaged.
Wolverine uncaged.
That was the title of the video game, I think.
Really? Like the one with the original Wolverine movie, or this one? Was there a game that came out with it? I didn't know.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, well, moving on to TV news here for quick. There's not much here. So I'll just run through it quick. Dario Naharis from Game of Thrones has been recast. So Michael, what? Dario Naharis?
Yeah.
Michael Husman is going to be playing him. This is the first time that there's been recasts in Game of Thrones before. This is the first one that's been a major speaking character that's going to be recast to someone else. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see Dan take too, because obviously he knows the fate of that character.
And we don't know the reasoning behind why it was recast. Like maybe,
but when I heard about it, when I saw the photo of him or whatever, I was like, man, because I actually like that actor.
I thought, yeah, so did I. Like when those first scenes when he's like flipping the coin or whatever with the other mercenaries.
It wasn't only just his writing; it was actually just his performance. He just came off very eerie and
like mysterious
and unpredictable. So
that's a shame. I mean, maybe we'll be wrong. I mean, pretty much the first reaction to any casting news is negative. So let's give it its break.
You want to maintain that cohesion, but you can't always. So
yeah, I mean, you probably won't even notice by the time that third season comes out. Or is it the fourth season already? Fourth season?
But I think it's the second half of the third book or something like that.
Yeah. So the way that the books are coming, kind of splitting away from how the show is being done, it's kind of going in and out of different books. So as non-book reader, I'm not actually sure exactly, but that's what I've been hearing.
But also, we attribute that guy's face, like with his relationship with what's her name, the queen or whatever.
Yeah.
So having a new face like in there and it's kind of hard to picture their relationship that they've already have.
Well, it'll be tougher if you try to watch it back to back. I think going straight in you won't notice, but if you going back and rewatching it'll be tough.
Going straight in though, they're going to recap it. They have to. They do it every beginning of every Game of Thrones season.
Well, that's fine. So I mean, you have to because it's like a year apart each season. And you don't even get to watch like the DVD Blu-ray doesn't come out till like a month before the season starts. So there's some Star Trek news. So Michael Dorn, who played Worf on Star Trek: The Next Generation, he's in talks for his own show called tentative title Star Trek Captain Worf.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I think he was like one of the best parts of. I mean, that whole cast of the Star Trek Next Generation was great. But I mean, everyone likes Worf.
Yeah.
So this one is the coolest news for me that over the week. So CW announced that Amanda Waller is being cast and will have a recurring role on Arrow, and Argus is who she's going to be working for, which is the American. Shield. Yeah, it's essentially Shield, but it's for dealing with superpowered people. To me, and to not necessarily to me, I'm not sure, but to a lot of people, this kind of like almost confirms that it's a more cohesive universe than they're letting on at this point. You wouldn't have this character.
Well, we don't know if she will, if this show even, goes up with the movie universe though.
We don't, but this is why this casting, this news, is making people think that it's very good chance, very likely that that's going to happen.
They actually already had Amanda Waller in.
Yeah, but I think they're kind of ignoring Green Arrow or Green Lantern as even existing. I don't think they even want to address it. It did badly.
But the thing is, what if one day they actually announce the same actor from Green Arrow? Like that'd be
huge. She was pretty good. I mean, at this point she's only been on screen for maybe a minute, 2 minutes. That it wouldn't really matter. I mean, there was an Amanda Waller in Smallville as well, but I mean, no one's clamoring for her to come back. So
no,
I'm just excited to see how this next season with the Flash, like that whole So we know that the Flash is the first appearance of superpowers on Arrow, but that doesn't necessarily mean because Argus already exists in that show. You'd have to assume if she's already in charge that superpowers exist somewhere else before we see the Flash and his superpowers, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe that's how. Maybe they don't even have to. They don't have to show anything for the movie. They don't have to do anything except for mention things happening in Metropolis. That's all you have to do. They haven't mentioned Metropolis yet. They've talked about Star City. They've talked Central City and other stuff like that, but they haven't. And Bloodhaven. But if they just those little things, you already then. You're not necessarily up on what Marvel's doing because their first season hasn't started yet, but you already have a full season in the books of a show and a world that could already be a part of a movie universe that you already have set up now.
No, I think that'd be a smart decision. So you to other heroes and superheroes, whatever. It doesn't become official until we see something or an actor in an upcoming movie.
No, I agree. And unless Henry Cavill makes an appearance on Arrow or vice versa, it doesn't feel like it's a part of the same world.
Because in Smallville, we heard there's whatnot, but that was just its own show and its own universe in that show, right? So
yeah, and they still have its own universe carrying. It's like it's carrying on in comics with its own run with like
season 10 in comics.
Yeah. So it's such a different philosophy from again, this is talking different, like hugely different philosophies here. So you have Marvel who's doing this like down to earth, like the human side of that world where these people are mega superstars. Iron Man's a huge thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you're dealing with like the people side of it in the television show where it's this. Arrow is dealing with actually a main character that would be in the Justice League in some versions of it, right?
Yeah.
And you're dealing with Flash. So if you cast the Flash in Arrow and you want that Arrow to be the same Flash in the Justice League movie, then you have to start thinking about like he has to be able to he has to do television series, so he has to be around for a couple months to do that. Plus he's got to do those movies, plus other movies, and like those are the types of things you have to think about, and that becomes super complicated.
Yeah, that's very complicated.
Like this guy is essentially giving up his life to that character if he's doing a show and a movie. I mean, like, and then
it's just gonna be the same actor.
Yeah, I mean, but then how do you take someone from a movie where you're gonna have a huge budget and everything's gonna look great, right? Down to a movie,
or you cast a relatively unknown and pretty much lock him down contract wise, right?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, then you say, look, there's a lot of money here for you.
But
you don't do anything else for that whole time.
We want a good actor for these characters, right? Like,
yeah, I know, I get you, but I mean, I'm fine with unknowns. Henry Cavill is pretty much an unknown for me, and he's
a relatively unknown. Yes, yeah. But he was still in movies.
No, I get that. I mean, you want someone who has talent. I mean, Stephen Amell, who plays Oliver Queen, isn't necessarily the strongest actor in the world.
No,
but he isn't terrible either.
To me, he's like a Henry Cavill, but not as.
Seasoned.
More unknown.
Yeah, I mean, he's less unknown now that he's played Green Arrow. But I mean,
any movie roles like
no.
Henry Cavill started movie. He was in Immortals. That was his first starring role, I think.
I've only ever seen pieces of that movie. It was very visual.
He was in the TV show The Tudors, I think.
Yeah, I remember hearing that he was in The Tudors. I've never seen it. I've heard good things about it.
Stephen Amell or whatever he came out of nowhere.
Well, he was essentially like he came in because he had like a sweet 6-pack of like 8-pack of abs that they could show up on every single episode. So they might as well call it Abs on CW. Like it was for a while it was pretty bad. Like they found like an excuse to have him have his shirt off in every episode. Like at one point, it's just him without a shirt on, and the other character like his sidekick without a shirt on, and they're just like slapping each other with poles like sticks.
Yeah, no.
And I honestly laughed out loud when I saw that scene.
Yeah. Is also the rumors of remember when they had Charlie Hunnam over at DC, they had him mocked up in the suit like in photos and whatnot.
I
think it's the Flash. That was the rumor. Like he's a pretty big actor now.
Well, it's because of Transformers. Yeah.
No, Pacific Rim.
What was he in before?
He was Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy. Excuse me. Yeah, I thought he was in. I thought you were talking about what's his name from Transformers.
No.
Who's the guy from the blonde dude?
I don't know. Mark Wahlberg?
No, from the older movies, like The Soldier.
Oh yeah. I forget his name. Yeah, I know what you're talking about though. Josh Duhamel.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Duhamel or whatever.
But like, I can see Charlie Hunnam as the Flash, kind of, but also maybe even Aquaman.
I think you're talking Aquaman. You're talking years before you've seen an Aquaman movie, man. Seriously.
Yeah, no, but like, I think he's an actor who could pull him off.
Yeah, I you know what? I agree that's a role that I think that's like, tough.
Picture the Flashpoint Aquaman, and then Charlie Hunnam playing that like badass role.
I get it. At the same time, I think you need someone who has a lot of like stage acting experience, who can do like that big side. You know,
I'm gonna go in on the side of like the Game of Thrones type.
Yeah.
Way. Yeah.
And you have to have people who are okay with being in costume, like, and not just any costume, but like I mean, like the same thing for any superhero, really. You need someone who's okay with being in a ridiculous costume for a lot of time and being able to make it look serious. You know what I mean?
And they did cast Ben Affleck, who is pretty much a big actor. So like
oh, he's a big yes. So you need. So what you don't want is having you don't want a character like Arrow or like the Flash, who's important. I mean, he's not Batman important, but he's important.
Well, in the comic world, he's hugely important.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, he's not as important as Batman. Batman's the biggest character out there, right?
Yeah.
You don't want him being so, like, his star power. You don't want Ben Affleck's star power casting such a shadow on these smaller actors that they can't even hold a candle. You know what I mean? They look out of place.
But it's pretty much going to happen already, kind of.
Are you sorry? You're going to say when you watch this movie, you're going to see Ben Affleck, you're not going to see Batman?
No, I don't think so. Like, I think that's people's personal problem if they see that. But Ben Affleck, I mean, like, I don't see one up in the other right now. I see them as equals.
No, I get that.
Because Cavill had his movie and we saw it. He was Superman in it, and yeah.
I think it would be a harder sell if you didn't have that first movie. I'm just worried about someone like coming from, especially from a TV background. If you're doing that, you're connecting Arrow. You have like someone.
If we had the Arrow actor come in, without even being seen him.
Exactly. Like
it's a little, I guess, a little bit jarring or whatever.
Yeah, it's weird. I think it's less jarring now. I think people are more used to that, like people going back and forth between television and movies.
Yeah.
But I think it's still like people still associate movie stars and television stars differently, and I mean it's changing. It's like especially with Netflix stuff and all that kind of thing, which are essentially movies. Like what's the difference between like 10 hours you see all at once and 3 hours you see all at once? I mean, it's all the same, even though it's broken up in episodes. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. And you have people like Kevin Spacey doing those shows, and Kevin Spacey's a big-time actor, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to game news. There isn't much, but I do like that. There's a couple of things that I do like. For instance, the Mega Man creator come out and announcing a new title. So Kaiju Inafune, I think is Kaiji Inafune, creator of.
I don't know.
Anyway, so I can't pronounce Japanese names very well. So Inafune announced it was one of the creators of Mega Man, okay? And he's felt like he's been sidelined by Capcom. They haven't been treating their fans well and making Capcom games or Mega Man games people want to play.
They keep canceling Mega Man games. Apparently.
Yeah. So he's come out with a Kickstarter for his own game called Mighty Number 9, and it's essentially Mega Man.
A Mega Man game.
It's like you look at it, it's just like a fancy Mega Man. You might as well call him Mega Man. It's like his name is what's the name of Beck, but like that doesn't even matter because it looks exactly like him. It has the same
Yeah.
powers. Like you beat your boss and you take their powers. It's the same game. He's just
Yeah.
giving a big middle finger to Capcom, essentially saying, "If you don't want to make these games, I'll make them myself with people who want
True,
to play
but
them."
I mean, they've had what 10 Mega Man games already
Well, they had yes, they made the
of
Mega Man 10.
the main franchise.
Well, yeah, but those games are made in like the 8-bit style. Like those games aren't
Yeah,
that hard to make. Let's be honest here.
but like, why can't this guy just make something new? I
But
don't
that's like saying, why hasn't there been a side-scrolling Metroid game in 10 years? Why hasn't there been a side-scrolling Castlevania game in like 15 years? Like where are those games been? People want to play those games and they're nowhere. You know what I mean?
They announced one on 3D. The 3DS has a Castlevania 2D game.
Does it come actually?
Yeah, it's already out. I think.
Okay.
It's been out for a while.
Like,
But yeah, people want those games because they don't get them in abundance like they have had Mega Man over the years.
yeah, but people are asking for they want another Mega Man X, like another like advanced Mega Man. Like some people like the retro games. I grew up with the newer ones, the Mega Man X ones, where you had the guy with the red in there too and stuff. But like, and those games are fun. Like you can jump up the walls and like I like Mega Man. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like a Colin Moriarty type.
No.
Who he thinks the best music in games is Mega Man. Like that's a little insane.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I got you go to Kickstarter to make a game that's exactly like Mega Man, but not a Mega Man game. It's like, come on.
No, but I mean, I guess I think I would agree with you, but at the same time, it's like I think he's been with Capcom so long, and he keeps getting rebucked and like saying, no, we're not going to do this, and no, we're not going to do this. He wants to make this game. He has a passion for it. If he's not going to be able to make it at Capcom, he might as well make it somewhere else. And if people are going to pay for it, why not?
That makes sense, and there is a huge fan base too. So,
I mean, I'm excited to see. Like, I think the tagline was something like "classic side scrollers reimagined" or something like that. And I mean, that's cool. I love side scrolling games, and I would like my brother's broke out our original like DS, the DS Lite, sorry, and he's been playing games on there, and it's just like it's making me want like to buy a handheld game so I can play those types of games, and because you can't play those types of games on your iPhone or your iPad, it just doesn't work. You don't have the right control. Sorry?
3DS, there's the arcade store or whatever.
Yeah, like and it has so many of those sweet games on there. Like
do you have the 2DS story on your list?
Oh yeah, of course, that's coming up. Do you want to talk about that right now?
Well, I guess if you're talking about old school games.
Yeah, like Nintendo announced a 2DS at $129.99, coming out October 12th, which is the same day as Pokemon X and Y. So it works with all the 3DS games and DS games, but doesn't show games in 3D. The quote from Nintendo was, "Imagine a standard 3DS laid all the way flat and with the depth slider all the way down."
Yeah.
It's kind of ugly though. What do you think? It looks kind of like a doorstop.
Yeah, I just wish it folded. I don't understand. It doesn't fold, right?
No. It's just like a plank.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So it's one. Okay, so I think what it was because they want to save money. It's instead of there being two screens, it's just one big screen.
Yeah.
And they have a thing section in between.
That makes sense. And like I guess if they wanted to start making the 3DS, like because the 3D part aspect, people aren't too excited about it. Like they don't
care. Like I would, if I had a 3DS, I would always have that off.
Yeah, most people don't put 3D on. So instead of making a version of the 3DS that's only 2D or whatever, like that just doesn't make any sense. So this makes sense to bring out a new DS, call it the 2DS,
make it cheaper,
and no 3D. I mean,
it's just weird. Like we've had folding handheld consoles from Nintendo since the Game Boy Advance. What was
SD.
it? SD. Yeah.
SD.
So we've had that, and that came out. Who knows? I don't even know when that came out, but that was a long time ago. I mean, and now we're going away from that again. Like it makes no sense. Like
it wasn't the Game Boy Advance came out, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that much more advanced than the Game Boy Color.
It didn't have backlight. It was just like a big.
It was just sideways, had a bit more processing power, whatever. And then the backlash was pretty big, and they announced the updated version, which was the backlit folding one.
Do you remember? Right? Do you remember the Game Boy Advance Micro?
Yeah.
That thing was tiny.
The thing is that they went from Game Boy Advance to Game Boy Advance SP, and right now it's kind of like the SP going to the Advance, right?
Yeah, it's like backwards. It's like
just slightly though. It definitely.
Yeah, but like okay, so
that it's still a good idea.
Some degree I I agree with the idea of making a cheaper DS without the 3D. I get it.
Yes.
But I don't agree with the design. For instance, you have to. There's a button on the side that lets the machine sleep like it would if you just closed the lid.
Yeah.
That's stupid. Like, just make it close. Like, you can. The DS, the Nintendo DS Lite is one of the best redesigns in my opinion, other than the the Game Boy Advance SP.
It's the best.
And you took something that was god awfully ugly, like the original DS, like gray, silver, like
it was
hexagon color, like shaped.
Yeah, it was still like the weird shape, kind of like the N64 almost, the console. Like
like a flat part.
Down.
Yeah, and they took that and they made it gorgeous, like with colors and different colors.
Sleek, small style. Yeah.
And then you take whatever. Okay, and that's great. So that you move on from that, and you have the 3DS, which is a little bit bigger, and it's got the
a little clunkier looking.
What?
A little clunkier looking.
Clunkier looking because it's bigger and it's got like the joystick thing on the side, the pad.
Yeah.
But then you come out with the 3DS XL, which is huge.
Yeah.
Right.
And but it looks better. Like it's like the DS Lite kind of.
Well, except not to the same degree because DS Lite made it smaller and then made more appealing.
But like in terms of the design, like it's a lot thinner, sleeker, all the same plastic, all the same color. I think.
Yeah, I prefer, if I was going to buy one, it would be the XL.
Absolutely.
And then you come out with this, and it's kind of like this is like when Nintendo came out and announced the Game Boy Advance Micro, and Georgie pulled it out of his jacket. I don't know if you remember this at E3. He pulled it out of his jacket, and people were like what the fuck? Like this is what you're announcing right now? Like no one gives a shit about this thing. It's like fits on a keychain. Like
it's kind of cool now if you think about it.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, how many sweet Game Boy Advance games are there out there? Like there's like so many amazing games. Yeah. But now you have this, which is like considerably uglier, and there's no reason you couldn't take the 3DS and make it folding, but also make it smaller if you wanted to.
If you do that, then it's almost too similar to the 3DS.
I was just thinking that.
Maybe they want to differentiate it, and also the hardware it takes to make it flip or whatever, like the hinges and whatnot.
Yeah,
that's also costly too. Maybe I don't know.
When you look at it, it's ugly. You look at the 2DS, it's ugly looking. Maybe it fits well in the hand.
Not only is it only one, like the 3DS and the 3DS, they were two separate screens because they did fold, but the 3D was also a separate screen. But on this one, the screen is actually hidden. Yeah,
so you get one giant screen and you have a thing in the way just to make it arbitrarily look like two screens like the rest of the things.
So that's already cheaper too, probably.
Well, it's all one giant touch screen, so the bottom part is the touch, and then the top part's touch too, but they have it covered with plastic so you can't touch it.
Oh yeah, and it wouldn't initiate anything.
It wouldn't do anything because you had nothing in a game for that. I mean, which is fine again, but it just looks ugly.
That's weird though. I didn't know that actually because the touchscreen I also looks worse than a regular LED.
It looks dull, right? It's like
the little.
And they have like the way that they do their touch isn't the same way that Apple does their touch. It's not it's capacitive, so you have to like touch. Yeah.
Like every pixel.
So when you touch it, like the screen like warps a little bit. Like if that's a screen all the way up, I don't like that. I mean, that just I haven't seen it in person. Maybe it looks fine, but I mean,
and I actually don't even know how big it is too. It's got to be smaller though, right?
You have to assume, right? I mean, you'd have to.
It'd be harder to put away. You know?
I mean, it's smart that they're releasing it on the same day as Pokemon X and Y, though.
Yeah, because that will sell like crazy.
I would love to play another Pokemon game. I'm not gonna lie. The last one I played was a while ago, and if I had a DS, I would buy one of the Pokemon games.
But I think X and Y are they a departure from the original ones, or are they kind of the same?
I assume they're the same. I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with it. I would want a classic one.
I think there's fan cry of like making a full-on 3D adventure type thing, but the same gameplay. I don't know.
That's weird. If that's the case, I don't want it.
I kind of do. Like I don't know.
You kind of stick at the top down, walk through grass, and then
I'd rather have like a event, 3D world, still long campaign, all that stuff. Just a different angle at it, I guess.
Okay, sure. You know what? I can see that. Something like I'm thinking like Warcraft style, like third dimension kind of thing. That looks nicer. I get it. Okay, what else we got here? So Sony, Borderlands 2 announced for the Vita, right? At Gamescom last week. So the third-party relations team at Sony's come out and has said, what else Tell us, tweet at us, email us, tell us what else you want us to bring to the PlayStation. What else you want us to bring to the Vita? What else do you want us to bring to the PlayStation 4? I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of any major franchises that aren't on the PS4 that they could even bring. It's like, yeah, go get Halo. Like, no. You know what I mean? But
You mean like old franchises from like PS1 days?
you
or
could
PS2?
anything. They said, well, like Borderlands 2 wasn't on the Vita, right? So people had an outcry, they wanted it, and then it happened. So they're saying, what would you want to see on the Vita, or what do you want to see on the board on PS4 that isn't there? Tell us, and our job is to go make those deals happen.
Right.
So I mean, I can't think of a lot of things because I mean I'm really happy with the lineup.
Is there a conclusion to the story, or
No, that's just it. They're asking. So people go out, tell them what you want.
I saw a story of like the Time Splitters like trilogy is coming to the PS4 or something like that, like a.
Yeah, so if it's like way down here. So yeah, Time Splitters is in development for the PlayStation 4. A version of Time Splitters Rewind, the community-led multiplayer compilation of the first 3 Time Splitters games, is being worked on for PlayStation 4.
So it's a remake of the 3 games?
It's a remake of a multiplayer version of the 3 games combined.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
So, in an interview with Cinema Blend, project lead Michael Hubica explained that the team was prepared to start work on the PS4 version, though they hadn't been given the go-ahead to actually release it. Okay, well, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty sweet, though. Like that's like a fan kind of project.
I loved Time Splitters when I was, like, I used to play that on the GameCube nonstop.
Yeah, I've been looking for it on Kijiji, like, for the GameCube, because I heard it's pretty good.
Well, it was, like, it had the same idea of, like, you could make your multiplayer matches and changed up all the different guns and all the different settings, kind of like you could in GoldenEye. Had that same feel.
And that's awesome that Sony's letting this happen and getting it developed for the PS4.
And it had one of the first zombie modes. I don't know if you guys remember this, but the zombie mode was pretty sweet.
I never played it.
You never played it?
No.
Oh, it was it was really fun.
What was better, 1 or 2? Like, I remember those
I
two.
played Time Splitters 2 the most.
Okay.
But
I just remember the cover, like a bald guy with sunglasses and like a big gun.
Yeah, it's because that you jump through portals and you go through time. So if we want to stick with where we were just talking about PS4, but I guess we'll keep on that. So Sony is working, apparently the rumor is they're working on a VR helmet for the PS4. It was apparently supposed to be shown off at Gamescom last week as well, but they pulled it out.
Really?
They pulled it out last minute. The rumor says that they have it working now with Drive Club, so you could sit in your car and look around and look at all like the detailed insides of the car. You know how they talked about that? Remember in the review of Drive Club? Yeah. And I was like, who cares? Like, you're never looking at the inside of your car anyway.
Having
and even with all that Oculus Rift talk and stuff, like I'm excited about the future of that medium, like of virtual reality.
This is Sony's response to that.
Yeah, I have to hope so.
And it's late in the game, obviously, because
if it's working,
if it was part of their vision, and they would have incorporated it sooner. But you know what I mean. So that's why it probably got pulled out.
They're saying now that it's going to be announced sometime early 2014. So
they're going to work on it more.
Refine it. I mean, they've made so few mistakes. Sony has in the last few months that But
Sony always imitates the competition.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's fine, but take the time, get it right. Do it right.
At the same time, it's okay. Oculus Rift, very small thing. It's not not a lot of people have those, right?
No, so but it's a very promising technology.
Yeah, and people are saying how good it is. A
lot of industry insiders are loving the thing.
So if you take that and you don't ever necessarily improve on it, but you make it mainstream, and then you make all of a sudden a whole bunch of companies are working on this, the technology will just jump
I think it'll definitely be mainstream eventually, and it'll be cool to see if they go ahead and kind of incorporate with the motion controls that they do have with PlayStation Move.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean,
and seeing the reality around you, then moving your arms instead of a controller, makes more sense.
No, I think it makes more sense. I think that almost makes more sense for what they have with Kinect. But I mean, chances are they might not have anything at Microsoft, or they do. There's not been leaks about it. Yeah, but
motion controls makes way more sense when that reality.
At the same time, though,
around you.
Yeah, at the same time, you having those controllers, the Move, which have rumble in them and stuff, right? Having that feedback, so if you touch something, you could feel it, yourself touching it in reality. That to me, that's where virtual reality needs to go.
Yeah, for sure.
What else do we have? Okay, so Microsoft said that, I don't know if you remember us talking about that, but every copy of Xbox One in Europe is going to get a copy of FIFA 14 with like at launch for free.
Yeah.
So they came out, they clarified that only the
A certain SKU or
only the day one edition will have FIFA 14. So is which I guess is, I think they came,
it's probably not a disc too, right? Just
it's probably
digital?
downloadable, yeah. And that came out after EA had a big after Sony. Someone from Sony said that the whole deal that they had with FIFA was quote odd. So EA came out and said earlier this week that they aren't playing favorites with Microsoft, and that quote it may seem that way, talking about the deal they had with FIFA, but I don't think that we've favored one over the other. We love both dearly. It's important to the publishing community that both are very successful, and I think will be very successful. So,
Right.
Coming from EA, it sounds like I can't really take anything they say seriously ever, because I just feel like they're just a giant corporation, and it's like
Nowadays they're trying to be more open to the public since they got that like worst company of the
which
of
makes
the,
no sense, but yes, yeah,
Yeah.
there's not the worst
so,
company.
so nowadays they're very open about stuff, and this is an example of looking at their deals and whatnot
No, I agree.
without really saying, Microsoft offers more money or
Yeah,
something.
but essentially that's what happened. It's like
Yeah.
and that's only one quote from like a whole big thing that they came out saying how
They
like
offer
we work with
more money.
both.
But we still like Sony because we make money from them too.
Yeah, it's like we like making money. They both give us money. Whoever gives us more money gets more support. Like that's what it is. But at the same time, it's like it's hard not to feel like they are favoring Microsoft to some degree. They have that whole trade-in deal with all the games at EB with Madden and FIFA. If you buy them for the Xbox, you trade them in after the Xbox One comes out. You get the next version for $10. You know what I mean? Like those are deals that are. Although Sony has said that they're planning on doing a similar deal, not necessarily with EA, but with Sony titles, that doesn't really like excite people very much, really. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it does feel that way, but I'm sure that's just because Microsoft's always been like about getting those like exclusive, like timed exclusive stuff, right? Like they're all about having that. I mean, but that's not EA, I guess, right? But Microsoft went and got out Call of Duty, right? Everyone that just associates Call of Duty with Xbox, right?
Yeah.
They went and got Battlefield this year as well. So they have Battlefield and Xbox.
Like, that's what they're trying to do with FIFA, kind of.
So they have FIFA, they have Madden, they have they're just like they're not as popular in Europe, so it makes sense to do that in Europe, but because the Xbox, there's the PlayStation's big there. It's like Canada, PlayStation's bigger in Canada.
And everyone's playing FIFA on PlayStation there, so
yeah. So I mean, you do a harder marketing push there, but I mean, I would like to see a little bit more equity. It's like it just doesn't feel right, which is as a consumer, I don't really like that. A lot of things that they say about having like not one game they'll ever release is gonna be not online, like those kinds of things. They kind of say that kind of stuff and they pull back later, but it's like it's already been said. So there's a Wii U price drop as well. We were talking about the Xbox or the 2DS. Wii U price drop. The Wii U Deluxe will now be priced at $299, so that's $50 cheaper. Do you think that's going to make a difference? I mean, it's still really selling really badly.
yeah. Well, $50 cheaper, but really it's $100 cheaper now.
Why is that? Sorry.
It's $50 cheaper than the original price, right? But when you see it on the shelves, it's $100 cheaper now than the PS4.
Yes. So the PS4 comes out at $399. Yeah.
So I would have liked them to see go lower, like $100 cheaper, or like 75 or something.
Yeah.
But seeing the $299 stacked to the $399 is still a big difference for consumers. So
I think that'll matter come holiday time, right? So you'll have the big launch in November, and then you'll have hopefully the stores restocked for beginning of December, right?
And now we have the Xbox One at
So it's like, so now you have as a mom or an aunt or whatever, you go in there saying they want the next thing, and all of a sudden you have three costs. Like he's like, you want the best, you're going to get the Xbox, I guess, because it's the most expensive. Because you know better.
Xbox is, I think, more so in the popular opinion and in the mindset.
Yeah, and then you say, well, I mean, what's the difference? I'll just get him a PS4. I mean, it's only $100. It's $100 cheaper. You know, why not? And then the person who's the cheap mom goes and says, well, this one is the same. It's
But the Wii U
$200.
has been out for a while too, and I still think the whole name and the marketing of it is so confusing.
Yeah, that's
So
gonna be like you already have one.
yeah, but still pricing at $299 rather than what was it, $49.99
It was
or
$249. Yeah.
yeah, is better compared to the PS4 now.
Problem is now you have the system that is gonna have facing competition from the PS4 and the Xbox One,
And has barely any games.
and there's no games, and
It's
has
not-
not.
well, the bundle will be Wind Waker, which
Yeah.
is kind of
No, I agree. No, that's good. And then you have, but that's a game that came out for the GameCube. I mean, if you're bringing out GameCube games, that's not a good sign,
But the thing is, I don't know. Zelda's huge, and Wind Waker was kind of a cult hit, and I think a lot of people who didn't play it are going to want to play it now. And GameCube backers are going to want to play it too, I think, like the people who love the GameCube. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people. I love the GameCube. I beat and finished The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker, and I haven't finished a lot of Zelda games. So
Yeah.
I mean that has a soft spot in my heart, but I'm not about to go out and buy a Wind Waker bundle for a Wii U when I have a PS4 coming out right away.
Oh, and didn't they announce that like PS4 bundle with 2 controllers and Killzone?
I didn't hear about anything about that. I think it's just a rumor at this point.
I don't know. It's like an official photo and everything, though. I'm pretty sure
Really?
it's like different. I think it costs $4.99 though.
PS4 bundle.
So it's the same price as an Xbox One, but it comes with Killzone, 4 or Shadowfall, and 2 controllers.
Okay, so yeah, here's a picture I'm seeing here.
2 controllers though. That's huge.
So 2 controllers, Killzone, Shadowfall, and it has looks like it has the camera as well.
A camera, and it's the exact same price as the Xbox One.
Well, there you go.
Xbox One gets 1 controller, the camera, and I don't think they get a game.
So you get the 2. So you're gonna get the 2 controllers, assuming it comes out at that price. You have the 2 controllers. You'll have Shadowfall, plus you'll have the
Camera.
The camera, yeah. Plus you'll have the PlayStation Plus trial, whatever, which comes with Drive Club, right? So you really have 2 games at launch, plus 2 controllers.
I think right now though, this is only for you.
They always get the best deals.
But like having a 2 controllers bundle I think that's awesome.
It's rare.
You always want to buy a second controller.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, if you want to play
With your friends.
you want to play with your friends, you want to play Madden, you with your friends, you need that second controller because God knows playing online. So we're talking about no games, right? So the launch lineup, the fall lineup for the Wii U they've given release dates now. So Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker digitally is released September 20th, physically October 4th. That's gonna, people, like you said, people love Zelda stuff. That'll move units. Wii Party U, which I'm not even sure what that is, comes with the Wii Remote Plus for $49.99. That's October 25th. That's the same day as Battlefield 4. Completely different market.
That should have been called Mario Party. But
Yeah, Mario Party has a cachet. People know what it is. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's a completely different market than the Battlefield stuff. So that's not really a big deal. But I know what I'll be doing October 25th. Super Mario 3D World, November 22nd. Now that one's big for me because that's a new Mario.
That's this November?
November 22nd. Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought it was next year for some reason.
Nope.
Okay. When's Mario Kart 8?
That's next year. It's not in the fall lineup, so it's not the holidays.
November, whatever that Mario game comes out, that is the day when the Wii U starts selling.
This first real new Mario.
Yes.
All right, let's write that down in a book somewhere and say we'll see what the sales are like the week after. Sorry, say that again.
If it's not that date, then it's when Mario Kart 8 comes out.
All right, fair enough. Okay, yeah, those are titles that I'm excited. I would even be excited about.
But think about it. What happened when the 3DS came out? What did you think about it?
Well, we all thought it was doomed.
And what happened? What were the sales? They were terrible.
They were terrible, and then
everyone thought it was a failure.
Yeah, and then they did a price drop. They did a price drop and released Mario.
And then the games came out.
Yeah, they released Mario and Mario Kart.
Mario Kart, Mario 3D World, everything, man.
And those, man. So you're right. If the trend continues the same way, I think they're in a little bit worse position than the 3DS was when it launched.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
They also reverse their position really quickly with the 3DS. Like there was a price drop really quick. This has been out for, I guess it's about the same amount of time.
And they had the reward system too for the people who bought it full price.
Yeah, which I don't think they're doing for this. So we'll see what happens. I'm not expecting a big turnaround.
Those people get digital GBA games.
They get what?
Digital Game Boy Advance games.
That's pretty sweet. Is that not happened yet? I thought that was already going
No,
on.
it
as
hasn't
well.
happened for like the rest of us. Like,
Oh, really?
you have to be one of those gold member guys to get the GBA games that are available, and they got them for free. So it was like Mario Kart Super Circuit.
Oh, you love that game.
Yeah, Metroid like Zero Year, I think, or whatever.
Oh, Metroid Zero Mission?
Yeah, I think that one's one of them.
Such a good game.
Oh, Metroid Fusion's one of them.
Oh, no, that's another good game. I have those at home. I have them in the basement.
Yeah, so those games are available to those people and they can play it on the 3DS.
Oh, I would love that. I want there to be... Okay, do you remember when there was the rumor of Metroid Dread? That 3DS... not the 3DS, but the DS side-scrolling Metroid game that never happened?
Yeah.
Why has that not happened? I really, really want there to be a side... Like, they've come back, they made another Donkey Kong side-scrolling game. I just feel like Star Fox and Metroid are like...
The Donkey Kong was like basically a port.
Yeah, so it's like you have these franchises they come out with Donkey Kong Country, this Tropical Freeze, December 6th, right? From Retro. These these games are great, sure, but you just get the impression that Metroid and Star Fox are like the dirty, like redheaded stepchild.
Yeah, they haven't worked out as of late, right?
But release a game like a side-scrolling Metroid, that game will sell like that will move units.
Well, think about the last Metroid game. What did we get? What was
Metroid? What was it called?
Other M.
Other M. Yeah, and they tried to incorporate this side-scrolling stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, they can take those assets and have the 3DS game all that one part.
Yeah, and a true side-scrolling game, not half-ass shit. Just a real side-scrolling Metroid game, classic Metroidvania style, you know.
But I still like Metroid Prime. Like I love Metroid Prime, and I want to.
Oh, I agree, but that works for a console on your television, where you have a handheld. A side-scrolling works perfectly.
Yeah, but remember Metroid Prime Hunters?
It wasn't that great of a game, man. I played it recently. I pulled it
recently. Why?
Because I found all my old DS games, and my brother was playing with the.
Oh man, Metroid Prime Hunters was like amazing after the crap out of the game.
At the time, it really impressed me, but it doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold up.
I think it does.
So let's get into the final stuff here. There's not that much left to go over. So Trinity War ended on Wednesday with Justice League 23. So
I haven't been reading it.
You haven't been reading it? It's good. It's different philosophy again. They're talking about different philosophies all day today. It's the theme, I guess. But they did Trinity War through the main issues of the comics. It wasn't its own side story, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't, which I appreciate. I think it makes it feel more incorporated with the actual universe, what's going on, right? Yeah. But it ended with... I think, did we talk... I don't know if you... Daniel didn't like to be spoiled, but you were okay with the spoilers, right? You do about the...
No, I do about the Crime Syndicate.
Crime Syndicate. So it ended with the Crime Syndicate, and that, even though I knew it was coming, the way they handled it was very well done. I don't want to spoil some stuff because you guys you haven't been reading it.
Well, don't spoil it, but tell what is it? What does the end of Trinity War mean for the DCU?
Okay, so you have your main heroes kind of vulnerable, I'd say, physically and psychologically, because they don't all this mistrust that's been going around. So essentially, you have so the Outsider, which you know who the Outsider was, right? They arrest him. So that's actually Alfred from Earth 3. Okay, so which I think is actually kind of so it's like you didn't think the Butler did it, and then he releases whatever he brings them over. So it's the Crime Syndicate. So you have these superpowered villains, equally if not more strong, if not stronger, and their counterparts who are willing to do the things that our heroes won't. So now you have...
So they're just living in the world now?
So they come over and they said, now this world ends, the last splash page is, this world now belongs to the Crime Syndicate. So they've essentially used up their world.
So they're inhabited in the Earth, whatever
Earth 3.
New 52 is.
Earth 3. So now they've come to New 52, Earth 1. No, Crime Syndicate is Earth 3.
Yeah, and they're living in Earth 1.
they're and Unit 52 is Earth 0 or Earth 1? Earth 0.
Whatever. Okay. One of those.
Earth 0 because Earth 1 is like there's like Earth 1 Batman, Earth 1 Superman.
Okay, yeah.
And those are those alternate ones. So they're Earth 0, so they're coming to the main DC universe.
Okay.
What I like is that the Trinity War actually has another meaning. So they talk about the Trinity War, you think of like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. But that's not really what it is. It's not really even the three.
I thought it was going to be those three like against each other for some reason.
And that's what I think you think first thing. And then then they talk about it. Then it's the Justice League versus the Justice League of America versus Justice League Dark. And then it also isn't that really either. What it is you have this artifact that no one knows where it comes from, Pandora's box, right? That's released evil into our world. Right. And it's come from, and the reason no one knows where it came from is because it came from Earth 3, where is the birthplace of evil. Earth 3 is the birthplace of where all evil thing is. 3 being a trinity, like being the Trinity, the 3 eyes on the Pandora's box. All those things kind of tie together.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of cohesiveness there that I kind of like.
Is there some sort of thing where there'd be a war between all of the 3 Earths?
Probably not, because it's kind of just between Earth 3 and Earth 0. I don't know. I'm not sure. I just know that now with Trinity War over, we start the Villains Month with a month of just the villains, and it gives that whole time more meaning because now they're fighting against someone you actually care about, a villain you actually think is worth fighting for, a character you're following a character you don't really care about. It's a villain. You don't really care about following the story of Two-Face, right? But now their villain is someone you actually dislike more than Two-Face or the Joker or Sinestro, right? So it gives it more meaning. The Flash series is exploring the origin of the Reverse Flash, so we don't know if it's the same character, the same name, like Ichabod, whatever, or something like that. A weird name like Thane or Thong.
Thon.
Anyway, Thon. Anyway, so we don't know if that's the character. But they apparently, so this month they kind of they said, okay, we're going to start introducing this Reverse Flash character.
Well, I think they're changing it up. I don't think it's the same guy.
Yeah, well, I hope so, because that name is stupid.
The story of the Reverse Flash is like some guy from like the future who like admired Barry Allen and did the same procedure to get the same power, and then came back in time and wanted what he had. So they'll probably change it up.
I assume. I mean, they've improved a lot of characters, especially villains' origins. So they started the origin now. Villains Month is going to also touch on his origin, Reverse Flash, and then you'll finish the story in 2 months from now in Flash 25, I want to say. So, and then Marvel debuts its Plus description, so it's Unlimited Plus. So it's $99 a year, or $99.99. It's $100 a year. You get access to their Comics Unlimited. You know what that is? Like, it's their back catalog. You can read anything.
Yeah.
And then you also get every once in a while exclusive variant covers, action figures, discounts at the Marvel store, digital comic apps, and more. Plus the collectible boxes and membership card that come out like every once in a while throughout the year.
But do you still buy?
You still buy monthly comics. But you also get this extra stuff, and plus the whole back catalog
is free.
So, well, not free. It's $100 a year, but yeah. So I mean, I'm not interested in it. What I would love.
Well, it depends on what you get physically.
Yeah.
So, if it's like cool memorabilia or shirts or something, that's kind of cool. But.
That's what it is. It's like action figures, and like they come in collectible boxes, and you'll like the one that comes with the beginning of it is of all of like Age of Ultron stuff. So there's like an Ultron statue and a bunch of cool stuff like that, and comes in a.
And then I guess I think more for all the new stuff coming out.
Say that again.
I think it should be like a discount maybe for the new stuff every month.
There's discounts at the store. I don't know what that means. I agree with you. Like what I would be interested in, because I'm looking at the numbers now. So you're at Flash 23, at Batman 23, right? I've been reading these comics since New 52 every week. That's whatever, $3.99 a week. That's a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, not every week, because Flash that only comes out once a month. So that's whatever, 2 years.
And you have not been reading Flash.
No, but like Batman. So I'm at Batman 23. I haven't missed one issue of that, right? And that's every month. I would love a way to pre-order, let's say, a chunk of like 6 months worth of comics, right? And then get a discount on that. Say, I'm gonna get these comics. I'm buying them right now. You don't have to worry about those sales for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to pay $3.99. I want to pay $1.99 for those comics because I'm buying them right now. And I think I feel like that's happened in the past. They've had that maybe with like when you had to get them mailed to you and stuff like that. But I think now they think with it. Maybe if I was their position, I'd say you have these people. They are a certain type of consumer. They love this stuff more than they can really afford to buy it. You know.
Yeah.
So you are, as a publisher, are going to say, no, we're not going to do that. You're going to buy these issues anyway. So why would we give you a discount even if you bought them all at the same time? Me as a consumer, I say, do that because it's nice. It's a nice thing to do to your loyal fans. You know what I mean?
And you fronted the money.
Yeah, I'm giving you my money up front, and you can't give me something back for that. I mean, I understand both sides, so I mean, maybe it'll happen. I'd like to see that. If I make one suggestion, that's what I would.
There should just be lots of models to choose from, but
yeah, like the dip in, like you should be able to like say, okay, I'm gonna put this amount of money down, and I want to pick and choose which titles I want for those months instead of like saying I want all Batman for this month, or you could say I want all Batman over these certain amount of months or whatever, right? You're right. There should be multiple models.
Well, the thing is, they don't want people to just kind of just settle with their favorites or whatever, right? They want people to sample and try new things.
Yeah, but that's why you have stuff. I mean, I know that, and they want people to do that anyway. So that's why you have people.
You need people to do that because.
Well, no, but you already have people doing stuff like have their pull lists at comic book shops anyway. So it doesn't really matter. It's like, how do you break that habit? By doing
the thing is, when you go to the comic book store, you're not just going to walk in there and not looking.
It's true. You usually leave with more stuff.
I get one of these books for sure, and then I look at, what else is here? And then I'll buy some more.
It's true. I mean, I get that, and then they're kind of missing that with the digital stuff. At the same time, I do feel like I buy more digitally. I mean, I don't go down. I don't have a chance to go down.
They have categories. They put things in your face. This is on sale. This is new.
Yeah,
this guy's popular right now.
And if you're reading if you're reading like a back issue, it'd say, continue reading this series. Like the next issue is like right there. You can just one click away.
The only thing I like about this model they're choosing is the back stuff. It's free because if you are into comics, if you are buying them, then it's cool to go back there free and see what happened in the past.
You can read the stuff that people talk about all the time. Like if you talk to Batman fans, and they tell you about the Killing Joke, and they talk to you about like the Dark Knight Returns, and they talk about like all those classic things. You want to go and read them, but you have to go and buy them. It's tough to find sometimes because they might be like, you know what I mean? I mean, digitally now it's easier to find lots of those things, and you can. I don't know if the Killing Joke might not be online digitally, but I mean, some of those things are. I mean. And I would love to go back and read Arkham Asylum, for instance. I've never had a chance to read it all the way through. For free, I would love to do that. I mean, I'm a big fan. I would pay money to do that DC-wise. Marvel, not so much. Maybe only because I'm not as invested, but I mean that can change. So, yeah, I think that pretty much covers this whole week's worth of news. Do you have anything else you want to... Anything you've been watching, anything you want to talk about before we sign off here?
Recently.
No?
Just Breaking Bad, but...
And you're loving that?
I haven't seen the latest episode yet, so...
Okay, fair enough.
We'll talk about there.
Alright, well, you and Dan can talk about it when he gets back next week. Alright, as always, follow us on Twitter at TowerBabblecast. Find us on the website, towerbabblepodcast.com, and like us on Facebook. We'll talk to you guys next week.